In this webinar, we will have the opportunity to know the details of the EMAS campaign in social networks promoted by YouGA. It will be a partner event of the EU Green Week, and all EMAS registered organizations will be able to participate in it. We will also have experts in communication that will teach us how to get the most out of this campaign and how to communicate better on social networks. So, well, let's get started because we have a lot of things to learn today. Our first speaker will be Mrs. Mirabella Lupescu from DG Environment. Good morning, Mirabella.
Good morning, Maria, and good morning to everybody. Thanks a lot for inviting me here today. First of all, I want to present myself. So I'm Mirabella Lupescu. I work in DG Environment in Unit B1, Sustainable Consumption and Production. And since January, I took over the work related to EMAS regulation. I'm very glad that you managed to organize this webinar, and I think that promoting communication about EMAS is very important. I'm certain that with the speaker that will follow after me, you will learn how to promote that and how to explain the advantages of being registered to EMAS. I'm also glad that this social media campaign that you prepare right now will take place between the 13th of May and 9th of June, which will coincide with the EU Green Week. I don't know if you know, but the European Commission Director General for Environment is organizing this EU Green Week every year. It is also providing the opportunity for other partners to organize event around this week, and I think that EMAS campaign, social media campaign will be part of that. This year, the partner event is focused around the topics of skills for sustainable, resilient, and socially fair communities. I am also glad that EMAS is encouraging employee participation, and it is important in this respect. So I just want to say that I know a second webinar will be organized in the second half of this year that will be much more focused on employee involvement, which will be open to all organizations. So I'm really hoping that you will take advantage and will take the most of this webinar session, and that you will continue to communicate about EMAS advantages and benefits. So I'm looking forward to also hear all of you today. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mirabella. And now we have with us Mrs. Johanna Schaefer. She's an expert in digital and social innovation. After finishing her studies in architecture in 2015, she founded her company called Bone Lab, and it is an urban lab that explores the opportunities of digital and analog space. Welcome, Johanna.
Hello, Maria. Thank you very much for having me. I'm happy to talk today about how to accelerate your impact through social media. And I prepared a little presentation, and I'm also going to make it a little bit interactive. So let's try to use the chat a bit. Say hello. I think there's no message yet in the chat. So I just write hi, and I hope that all of you can use the chat. So I'm going to share my presentation now with you so that you have also some visuals, and I see thumbs up. I see 2 chat news. Okay, hello. Very good. Seems to work. So first of all, let's start with your impact. So EMAS organizations, institutions, companies want to really bring a very good impact out there in the world. And I found some interesting organizations on the EMAS websites, or one of your websites, for example, the VO group that wants to be a driver of innovation and change for the communication sector. And here, of course, we can already see that for them, it might be a very good tool, social media, and an important play an important role for their business model. And for the other examples that I found, I'm going to share also what they could do on social media or through social media to boost their impact during this presentation. But first of all, I would like to ask you, and I think I only see the co-hosts here in the chat. I'm not sure if the participants can also use it, but what would you say, dear participants? We have 129 people here. 129 answers now would be great. Is social media the right place for you at the moment? What would you think? Is it a good place or not such a good place? Or maybe Frank, can you help me? Is the chat active?
Yes,
Is
the
it
chat is
functioning?
active, but I would recommend you to use not the chat, but the Q&A.
Okay,
There will
we can
be
also do that.
better.
Okay. Somebody says hello from Catalonia. Okay, somebody said der Moderator hat den Teilnehmer-Chat deactivated. So the moderator deactivated the chat.
But you can use the Q&A.
Hey there. So the Q&A works. So, okay. Then, hi from BCN. Is BCN Barcelona or where is BCN? So, okay. So then we don't do it with chat. So then let's do it like I just assume your answers. So let's try that. So is it the right place? So many people sometimes say it's not the right place for them. It's a place of fake news. It's a place where you maybe get addicted to information. It's an information overflow there. So sometimes we really have the feeling that social media is not the best place for us. And to tackle that and to really have a better mindset about social media, I would like to bring some thoughts and some questions to you about these two questions. First question is, do you think that cold exists? And now we can unfortunately not use the chat, but if you think about it, in your brain, would you think that cold does exist? Maybe we just do it a little reflection question in your brain. I don't see your answers. I don't have your feedback, but just for yourself, do you think it's a yes or no? Frank, what do you think? Does cold exist? Or Maria, or Anne, or Anne?
A temperature exists.
Temperature exists.
Yeah.
Temperature cold exists.
And I could
Frank?
feel cold or warm.
You can feel cold or warm. That's true. Okay. Okay, Frank, you can answer the second question. Do you think that darkness exists?
Yes, of course.
You would say yes, of course. Okay, and the reality is that in physics, cold does not exist. In physics, what exists is heat. So cold is just the absence of heat. And when we think about it in this way, also it's the same for darkness. Darkness is the absence of light. In physics, we can measure the intensity of light, for example, but darkness is not really a physical thing to measure. So what we can learn from that sometimes social media, yes, it might not be a good place, or it might be a place where you can feel cold or where it can feel dark. But the truth is that when we bring light and that when we bring heat, it can be a really good place. And this is something I would like you to think about in this webinar, that your actions can make a dark place more bright and a cold place more warm. So this is this little mindset game I wanted to play here with you, so that you think of it in a way that whenever you have the feeling it's not a good place, it's just because there's not enough heat, not enough good energy, positive energy. And that's exactly what you, EMAS organizations, can change, and why you can also play a very important role on social media. So you cannot make a dark place. You cannot change the bad sides of social media. You cannot do that. But what you can really do is to use it as a tool to bring more light and warm energy to social media. And by using it as a tool, you can also bring it into the world. So that was something I wanted to make you aware of. So, and now let's start into this topic, like what are the learnings and what can you do to really accelerate that impact through social media? And I brought you 3 ideas. The first is lead by example and create a narrative. And of course, I will make it more clear with one of the 3 EMAS organizations, that you have an understanding of what does that really mean. And the second thing is to inspire and to become part of your mission. That's what you can do on social media. You can really inspire people. And the third thing is that you find an efficient way to use social media. Because if you don't have an efficient approach to use social media, you will stop doing it, or it's just exhausting, or whatever. So you have to find a good way for you. And as a first example, I brought this museum of rural life, and they want to bring debate and knowledge to knowledge and environmental education to citizens through culture. And here we can see they have a very valuable impact. And when we think about how social media functions, social media really can benefit their impact. So what they can do is they can really share interesting knowledge posts. They can set up videos, share videos, graphics, where they bring their cultural experience or whatever out there in the world. They can share stories. You can do that on Instagram, for example. They disappear after 24 hours, but people love to watch them. And of course, it's good to use storytelling. And then the next thing is that what they can also do, they want to bring debate. So they can bring this debate to social media by inviting guests to live streams and to really have this debate on social platforms. And of course, they can also let people be part of their cultural experience via social media, and they can keep people up to date, informed about events, activities that are going on. So for them, definitively, social media is a tool that can accelerate their impact. And when we look at the second learning or idea, what you could do on social media, is the University of Gothenburg. They want to, that's the impact they say they want to create. So they want to involve students and staff in environmental management and sustainability in research and education. So what all of you have to do on social media is always to identify what's relevant for your target group. That's very important. And that those who provide education on any kind of knowledge, what they can always do is to edutain. It's a combination of the word education and entertainment. So you think what you want to educate, and then you find an entertaining, interesting way of promoting it. And then the second thing is that they want, what they could do, and every company or organization can do that, is they can involve their students, or you can involve your staff, whoever, or your target group, your stakeholders, you can involve them into your content production, and you can always give them opportunities to become active and to play an active role. And last but not least, I think it's very important that we make social media matter, that it's not just something that takes place on social media, it's a tool that we use for marketing or for communication or whatever, but that we really integrate it in the real world. So that a professor, for example, reminds the students that they can share their research, their projects on social media, that they can talk about their learnings, that they can share what they want to bring out there in the world, and that they use social media as a tool. And it's the same for companies, organizations. They can always say, hey guys, social media is really important for us. It's a very good tool for everybody. So let's talk about our last team meeting or team event, whatever you did. So yeah, inspire people to become part of your mission and driver of change and so on. So, and then the third point is to find really efficient ways to use social media. And there we have this company called Glöckner Natursteine. They want to pioneer sustainable craftsmanship by preserving the old and creating new things. And I think especially for such a company that is into craftsmanship, it's important that they create a routine that suits their team and their workflow. And they don't need to create special content or photo shootings or whatever. They can just give insights in their daily work. So they can share what they do and make it interesting. They can share how the technique they use. They can share the end result, the end product they produced. So they can just integrate it in their workflow. And then we have the I want to encourage you guys to be really authentic and use visuals, and don't be afraid of snapshots. Snapshots, difficult word, are really an interesting thing on social media. Many people like it because it's so authentic and so real, and we have the feeling it's not fake. And sometimes this is also why we think it's not the right place, social media, because it's such a fake world. But when we put snapshots, it's good. And but don't put any snapshot. Try to make it in a way that is really matching some quality standards. And then the last lesson here I would have is to really connect with your target group. You can always give likes, comments, you can post, especially when you want to, for example, influence or work with younger craftsmen or the future generation. Then encourage them, say that it's interesting what they do, connect with like-minded accounts. So yeah, this is until here. This is the first learning, and I'm just checking a bit here. I think, yeah, I see some Q&As, but I don't have a real question yet. Oh, many of you said no, darkness doesn't exist, is the absence of heat, and so on. So now I see your answers. That's really good. So you were already prepared for that. And now what I would like to do is to share some guiding principles. It can be for you personally. So if you have your LinkedIn account, for example, as the CEO of the EMAS organization, company, or as the general manager, or normal stuff, like everybody can use LinkedIn to share their knowledge. It doesn't need to always be this decision maker. Everybody can contribute. So for all of you, and also for organizations, of course, I have some guiding principles here for accelerated impact. And the first thing is really that the nice thing with social media is that small actions can really lead to big impact. What do I mean by that? On LinkedIn, through a comment under the right post, you could find a job or could find a new stuff. Through a like, you can really nurture, or through some likes, you can really nurture a relationship with somebody you cannot see regularly in the offline world or in the real world. So you can really try to use these little tools that social media provides to really create big impact. And we are here today because many of your small actions can really lead to a big impact, but I keep that a bit for later. And my colleagues here today will also share a bit more how you can play that role. Then the next thing is, when we think social media is a dark place, then maybe we could just connect to those who have bright accounts, who inspire you. So connect to those people, accounts, companies, and so on, so that together you can bring more light, energy, and shine together. That's really something you could follow. The next thing, of course, when you want to create an impact on social media, what you always can do is to be the voice yourself. You can follow your mission. You can follow your impact on social media by sharing content that matches your impact, your mission, that fits to what you want to achieve out there in the world with your organizations. And then number four is really take your time. Don't push too hard. Sometimes it's just not the right moment to use social media, and then you don't need to use it. You can maybe use the time when you're not active to plan things, or to get inspired, or to do other things, to just have more energy. And then when you have the right set of energy, then you can go out there. And don't be frustrated. So when you have the feeling, oh, I don't get enough likes or whatever, take a break, take a deep breath, and then just try it another time again. So it's always okay to take a break, and it's always good also to be, when you have a lot of energy, bring it out there. There's also nothing wrong with that. And then number 5 is really join forces with your partners. And this is also why we're here today. Your 130 participants, 130 potential partners. You can all work together. You can really make a big impact together through social media. You can follow each other. You can comment on each other's posts. You can meet each other and share that in the real world. Whatever you do, you can really collaborate together. And to just have a small brief conclusion of all the input I shared, I hope the visuals were helping to follow me, is really what you could do now is to write down what you want to promote and accelerate through social media. So maybe you have big impacts, small impacts, company impacts, personal impacts, whatever it is. I would encourage you to use this webinar as an opportunity to really figure this out and write it down. And if you already have social media strategy, revise it, put it again, the impact that you want to create, and then orientate yourself by following your impact. And then the second thing, and luckily we have another webinar input today that is going to tell you more about it, is figure out what it takes to achieve it by using social media. So there are certain things you can do on social media to make it easy for you, to make it not too complicated. And those ideas, I'm sure you will get them also today in this webinar. So yes, that's for now my input. I know we have many other speakers, so I don't want to speak too long. If you have any questions now, I still have like 3 minutes, I think, to answer them.
Yes, I think there's someone that has raised a hand.
Yeah, okay.
Danielle.
They can talk, or are they
Yes,
able to talk?
I can give them.
Okay. I will stop sharing my presentation.
Danielle Arnal, I think you have a question, or? Danielle, if you have a question, you can now talk.
No, I don't have it. Sorry.
Okay.
Maybe
okay.
a button.
It's okay.
No, I think that until now, I think that the exposition that we have seen is quite nice, and it delivers a lot of information. And I like the part about the mindset and how to be on the spot and on the moment, and just how to live all those changes and how to promote them in social media. I am liking it a lot, really.
Okay.
Thank you. That's good. Keep that in mind, that you can make it a right place.
Okay, if there are no questions now, I remind you that at the end of the session we can still interact. So if the questions come later, there's a space to work on it. Thank you, Johanna, for your inspiring presentation. I hope that we will be able to add light and heat to our EMAS campaign and be able to inspire other organizations.
Perfect. Good luck.
Okay, thanks. So now we have Frank Kerman. He's a member of IUGA, the German EMAS Advisory Board. He's involved in implementing measures to promote EMAS, and he assists the IUGA committee and its working group in the area of stakeholder communication with ministries, associations, and companies. And Frank is going to explain us how this EMAS campaign actually works. Hello, Frank.
Hello, everybody, and also a warm welcome from my side. One moment, I have also a presentation I will share it. Do you see it? Yes, I think so.
Yes, we do.
Okay. So yes, before I start, maybe one word about me and my work. So I'm working at the German EMAS Advisory Board called IUGA, and this is a legal committee established at the German Federal Ministry for the Environment, and it ensures the quality of the EMAS accreditation and supervision system in Germany. So we are disseminating EMAS in Germany. And so we started also in 2020 with a new social media strategy. Thanks also to Johanna, she was coaching us. And one part of this strategy also was to enhance engagement of EMAS registered organizations to become, let's say, sustainability ambassadors. So we start every year a campaign and invite all registered organizations and supporters of the EMAS scheme to participate. And as we are facing now big challenges at the present and also in the future, this year's campaign is dedicated to the very important topic of green transition. And so we are facing several challenges like climate change, energy crisis, fragile supply chains, and there are a lot of new regulations like the CSRD and due diligence taxonomy. So there's a lot of risk, but also opportunities. And as environmental managers, we are technical experts, let's say, but maybe not communicational specialists at all. So we should become more communicational specialists, but because of our topics that are very important, so circularity, energy efficiency, biodiversity are really important for the future, and time is running, so we need more sustainable action. And I think it's not a simple task to translate technical issues into emotional stories for getting more impact. And therefore, I think we are here also to learn more about it. And I want to shortly introduce our campaign now. So we choose 2 hashtags. First is the hashtag EcoChallenge. It contains 2 key terms. First is ecologic and the second is challenge. So the question is, how do we address global ecological challenges? Which strategies and solutions does your organization provide? And this hashtag, the hashtag EcoChallenge, already exists in the social platforms. So it is. So we address a broader public which is interested in ecological matters. And with the second hashtag, IMAS-Hero, it is a unique hashtag which allows everybody to recognize all the postings under this campaign. So when you start posting your contribution to this campaign, please every time use these 2 hashtags. And the posting period starts on 30 May and ends on the 9th of June. It is connected to the World Environment Day, and which takes place on the 5th June, and is also registered as a side event at the EU Green Week, like Mirabella also mentioned. So you can also address these 2 events with the hashtags World Environment Day and EU Green Week, and you can also put other hashtags if you want. So we invite you to present your individual key messages about your strategies for a green transition. And maybe one remark, if there are also participating some member state competent bodies of the IMAS scheme and IMAS supporters, please inform your organizations about the campaign soon, if you did not yet. And if you use social media, please share your post and share our post and tag registered companies you know. So we will get more impact if there are participating more organizations. So I think we have about 4,000 IMAS registered organizations in Europe and on the world. So there's a lot of potential. So yes, how to plan the individual posts. First, I think before you think about the content of your story, you should also think about your individual target. Like Johanna also mentioned before, who should you address with your posts? So it could range from showing your consumers or your suppliers, how do you deal with challenges like climate change, biodiversity loss, or you can also present solutions and best practices. It could also address your employers or engaging them as corporate influencers for green transition. You can also start discussions on best practice within your industries or start an initiative for level playing field discussion within your industry. But maybe you're not present solutions, but challenges and asking others how they come up with this, searching for solutions. As mentioned before, social media is not only for disseminating your content or for attract your solutions, but also for getting into dialogue, getting direct feedback on your ideas, on your solutions, on your products. get in touch with other stakeholders. And I also would recommend you to give feedback to other participants of the campaign. That is the core idea of this campaign. So besides posting your content, we ask you to monitor other contributions under the same hashtag, EMAShero, and maybe you'll find some interesting ideas, give a piece, feedback, spread other postings with innovative approaches, bring your thoughts into discussion. So yes, as environmental managers, you know the management cycle: plan, do, check, act. You know it at its best, and use it for planning your story also. When you set up a goal or target, define your topics and key messages. You can clarify if you have any budget or other resources. You can ask your colleagues, set up an action team for support. You can engage them as participating and as an actress or cameraman, assistant director, designer, anything else. And if you have a communication department, you can recruit them as a full service agency. So there are a lot of possibilities. You may also think about external help if you have a real big idea which you cannot manage by yourself. There are a lot of agencies and there are also influencers who could support your ideas. But even if you have no budget, you can just have a look on the World Wide Web and your social media channels and find inspiring examples. So I think we also provide some later. And then think about a suitable format. It depends on the ideas you bring of your personal stuff, but also of your equipment you have. You may brainstorm ideas within your team to find out the best ideas. And then set up a storyboard, a storyline, which helps you to create also a consistent story. Think about the potentials and the risks of your story. You may mobilize more people if you implement maybe a call to action, for example, a question, and also think about how to avoid statements that could expose your company to greenwashing accusations. I will I will talk about this also later. So, and yes, and when prepare your format until 30 May, you may set up just one post. You can also set up a series of posts, or you organize an inner organizational challenge on the EMAShero within your company. There are a lot of opportunities. Yes, one remark to the greenwashing. So your post may offer a surface also for criticism. So how to deal with it from my personal view, when planning the formats, try to change the perspective from your personal inside out perspective to the outside in perspective. For example, as a critical consumer, you may get an idea of what are the potential risks of your post you could raise. For example, if you are an automotive company and telling about BE hotels which you installed at your site and for biodiversity issues, it may have a positive intention, but for outsiders could also accuse them by cherry picking because it don't touches the core business, your core business, which is very energy and resource intensive. So try to build your story on your core business. I would recommend. Social media contains also crisis management. So when we use it, we have to be also aware of potential risk. And but when comments turn into bad mood, so like here down on the right side, so you just manage it. You block the accounts, delete the accounts, the comments if they are in a bad, if they have a bad manner, and report it to the customer service. Yes, to get more visible as a part of the campaign, we prepared some templates, which I invite you to use. So we have 3 visuals. One is connected to the hashtag EMAS0 and one to the Eco Challenge. And also we made a handcrafted EMAS logo. And then we prepared also an audio snippet. You have the link here in the presentation, and you can download it later if you want. And yes, you could use it as a framework for introducing your story. You don't need every time as professional equipment. A smartphone or with 1 or 2 apps will also be enough. There are a lot of free tools. You just have to be careful concerning licensing issues if you use stock pictures, videos, or music. But I think it's you can manage it. So I have one example how to use the audio snippet which we prepared in a maybe funny or entertaining way. So I will show you. I hope you can hear it. Okay, maybe we will present it later, and I can't start. I don't know why. Okay, but
maybe if you have the link.
No, I don't have a link at the moment, but I can share it afterwards. But I can talk about this. So if you, this is the audio snippet says, ask EMAS0, what is this? And then afterwards it says, EMAS0. So you can use it like an introduction. It could serve as an introduction for a walk to different places on your site and or to different scenarios where you show some issues of your work regarding your sustainability core issues. So you can show maybe an initial situation or a problem, thinking about it, and then present a solution. And in a second scenario, so it's presenting a before and a after scenario. So this audio snippet could help you to make this visible. Okay, then I will present it later. It's now. Okay.
EMAS0? EMAS0.
Okay, I think you saw it and got an imagination how it works. So then I go to the next. Yes, at the end, I just want to pass on some examples of previous campaigns along to you. Some of them gained more attention, like this, and unfortunately, it's only in German. I have also some video examples. The most popular were those which were very unusual, like this. It's from a small family-owned hotel, and the owner took a funny tour on the hotel, including the staff, and showed how they integrate environmental issues into their business. There are all the links to it, so you can just have a look afterwards. And even if you don't understand German, you may catch the meaning of the video. So here are also some interesting, unusual campaigns. You can just, it may be inspire you by searching for an idea. Some of them are also in German, but also some are in English. Yes, just have a watch on it afterwards. And now I will finish with 3 recommendations regarding a successful participation in the campaign. So first is communication is interaction. So I think it's necessary to balance between creating your content and also engaging on the content of other participants. And please find a balance between these 2 parts. And second is quality is better than quantity. So please create content with added value, which leads to interaction. And the third is collaboration gains more impact. So if you involve others with similar intentions for common action, it would be even better. And then I just thank you very much for your attention. And you can follow us also on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube. And don't hesitate to ask me or make some comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Frank. And thank you also for taking care of the campaign and inviting all the companies and sharing also the templates and all the nice things that you have prepared with all the IMAS registered organizations. Well, and last but not least, we have with us Anne Olof, Director of Communications, and Anke Ralle, Sustainability Consultant from Zoom Goldenenkirchen, an internationally working creative agency that is also an IMAS registered organization. Welcome, Anne and Anke.
Thank you very much. Anke, I think I can hear you. Anke, are you still not to hear?
I think you're mute. Frank, can you please check if Anke has the audio?
She isn't muted, but maybe there was.
But now you should hear me.
Super. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Perfect. All right. So as Maria already said, we are Anke and Anne from Zum Goldenenkirchen, which sort of translates into the Golden Deers. So we're an internationally working creative agency. We do communication and advertising, and we're also IMAS validated with most of our offices. So that's why we were invited to talk to you about the topic of this campaign and how to participate in it. And so, well, let's start. So the first thing would be, again, the question, so why does it make sense for me to participate in this? I think there were already some valid points on that from Frank and Johanna. And so I will briefly summarize, and then we go on to some examples how you could do it, or how you could, what kind of story you could tell, and how you could get there, basically. So as Frank already mentioned, there's a lot to do on the green transition, if you want to call it like that. So by participating in this challenge and showing what you and your organization do concerning environmental transition, you could first of all demonstrate that you actually already do something, because IMAS is a substantial environmental management system, and you could talk about this and how your organization is transitioning towards a more sustainable future. And of course, engage your community in that, which is super important, but I think we already heard that already. And of course, I think the key point to understand, or for us it is, you can't do it alone. Changing the world, more or less, you can't do it alone, so you have to find allies, maybe in your sector or your industry, or across industry, maybe in your region, depending on what your organization does. And so that's why social media and joining a campaign like this one is a great way to do that. And of course you can inspire, because I mean, your organization is already using the IMAS system, so you're already doing something, I don't know, maybe for a few years, maybe already for 10 or 20 years. So you already have a lot to show, most likely. And so why not show it, inspire others, and well, work on from there. And so now we would like to go maybe a little bit into how you could find your story. And that is, wait, let me click on. So yeah, the essence is reach out for something good, do good, and talk about it. So now we would like to tell you a few things about how you could find your story, and Anna will take over from here.
Yes, thank you, Anke. Yeah, and here we go. It's time to find your social media story. We think to create a meaningful and impactful story about your sustainability efforts, it can be very helpful to do a little exercise. Try to answer the following questions. We show you the next slides and review your documentation to clarify the main message you want to share. Ask yourself, what specific action have you taken to promote your sustainability? How have you incorporated sustainability into your daily life, work, and community? What challenges have you faced along the way, and how have you overcome them? How have you measured your progress and success in achieving your sustainability goals? So we can jump into the next slide. Exactly. After completing the first step, it's time to go into the planning. So we see first step is screen your actions. Second step is you go into the planning. Start by outlining what, when, and where things will happen, and who will be responsible for which tasks. Decide on the materials needed and assign a moderator. Lastly, it's important to challenge your ideas with colleagues who aren't involved. Keep in mind, social media is a useful tool with very low barriers. So it's essential to ensure that the message is easily to understand for everyone, also for people who aren't familiar with your company. By seeking feedback and input from a variety of perspectives, you can strengthen your story and increase the impact.
All right. And now we would share some examples and tell you why we thought they were great examples, or what they did great, and how we can well, learn from that. So the first example is the copper producing company Aurubis. It's by the way, all of them are also EMAS validated, so that's more or less how we found them. And so Aurubis posted a video last year, and they gave sort of an overview tour, and since the topic of this year's campaign is to give an overview and to share what your sustainability strategy more or less is and how you work on transitioning, that's something that we thought this video makes clear. So we put a link in it, you can watch it later. But so they gave this overview of all their sustainability dimensions and what they are working on, what their challenges are. For example, mining, copper mining and copper pit production is a very dirty business. So of course they have a lot of issues there, and they started to show, okay, how are we going towards cleaner and safer mining? Why is employee qualification super important to actually become a more sustainable business? And for example, also their science-based emission reduction targets. And so what they did, they have for the implementation, a first sentence that creates curiosity, because they say, okay, we are everything we do sustainably, and that already creates the question, okay, how do you do it? And then of course the video gives a few examples and leads through their work life. So it shows people doing things in their everyday work life more sustainably. And maybe what you could do even better is that you give 2 or 3 like the most important takeaways from this video into the posting text, because maybe somebody who's watching your post can't play the video at the moment because, I don't know, they're in some situation that they can do it. And so if you put more information into the post and not link to your website directly, then that favors, for example, in this case, the LinkedIn algorithm, and also gives more information. That would be something that you could do. And the next example is a smaller printing company called Loci, and they participated in this EMAS social media challenge last year. The topic was climate change, or how you react as an organization to climate change. And they also started with a very catchy phrase. So they said, okay, we already, since we implemented EMAS, reduced 90% of our emissions. So it's a big thing. And so, of course, you want to know, you read on how did they do it. And then they give clear examples what they did. For example, very specific things like changing their location in concerns of heating, and then also things that every company basically could do, changing to green electricity and so on. And of course, they have a graphic. You could also maybe even animate that, make it into a little video, and then make it even more catchy on social media in the stream. And what they also did, they used the campaign hashtags, which is great, and they tagged relevant stakeholders, in this case Frank Kerman and his organization, because they are the organizers of this challenge. So in that way, they created connections to their community and to other stakeholders who are interested in these issues. Yeah, and another Beispiel, not from a company, but basically from a company influencer or a corporate influencer. This was also mentioned before. If your company doesn't have a broad reach on social media, maybe people in your organization do because they are more into social media or because they are already used to talking about issues like sustainability on social media. And so why not use them and let them talk about their work? In this case, the company behind it is a bank, a German bank that funds sustainability development projects, in this case, renewable energy. And so she shared a press article on this. And one thing that you could even do better is not share the article itself, because that links away from, in this case, LinkedIn, and that the algorithm doesn't like, but you could just share a quote from this article and by that show, okay, some other source, some independent outside source thinks I'm doing good work or my company does. And yeah, thereby gives it a bit more credibility. And the last example, and then I give back to Anne, is actually from our own social media posting, and Anne will share how we did it and what we did.
Exactly. Thank you, Anke. Yes, as Anke said, here you can see an example of how we do ourselves, the communication of our sustainability efforts. We have created a sustainability series for LinkedIn and also for Instagram and kept our audience in mind. What we did is we maintained our usual tone and our style for addressing people and made the topic as accessible as possible. To ensure that we have engagement from our community, we made the content also visually very appealing and easy to understand. Therefore, we have chosen for LinkedIn a PDF format that you can click through, which also creates more interaction. Our cover image features a German proverb, what you may not understand, but we can translate. It means Klein Vieh macht auch Mist, means small cattle also make manure. Emphasizing that every little contribution counts and everyone can start somewhere. The presentation includes some practical tips, as you can see, and introduces also one of our climate officers in Berlin, from our Berlin office. The person is introduced and leading through the following slides. This format, as you can see, repeats. It showcases all of our locations and makes it possible to show all the different sustainability measures we do at these locations.
All right. And so, I'm sorry, you were finished, right?
I'm finishing.
Okay, great. Okay, so since time is running out, we of course also want to share some stuff with you concerning, okay, how would you create a post? But I'm not going into detail now because you get the presentation afterwards, and of course then you can read and take out the information that is relevant to your social media campaign. And so we have some mentions on how to post and when to post best on the different platforms. And also, of course, what you could consider when you're writing your text or your caption for your social media post. There's some tips in there. And of course, we would also like to share some tools with you that you could use freely online. For example, to find good wording for your post or how to design your post. Also, tools for editing videos and databases where you can use free high quality stock photos online. And so we put all the links in there, so you just click on the icons and then you should reach there. And what we also did, because designing a post is probably with little effort, we put in some run-throughs of Canva. Canva is a free tool that you can use online to design social media posts, and our colleagues did a little run-through, and when you get the presentation afterwards, you can just click it and then you can have a short view on how to use it to maybe design your posts for this campaign. And that is it from us. Thank you.
Thank you, both Anne and Anke, for your presentation and for the detailed explanation of those concrete cases that you have brought here, and also for these last tips. So I think that this is like the pragmatic part of the work that is ahead. So thank you. Well, I don't know if anyone has any question. I see that there are questions regarding the availability of the video of this webinar and the presentations. Of course, we will send you a link in the following days with the video and also the presentations. Does anybody have any question on the contents? Would you like to have the opportunity to interact with our panelists? I see that Danielle has again. You have raised your hand, Danielle? Or was it from the previous question? Okay. It seems that there are no questions. So thank you for all the panelists for your participation today. And remember, all IMAS registered companies, be proactive and very active in this IMAS campaign. We will send you all the information about the campaign and how to participate to it. So we will hope to see you in the social networks soon. Okay?
There's one question at the end. Is there a prize for the best campaign? So in Germany, we have connected this campaign over to a conference, and but it's only for the German and Austrian participants. So we will also show some of the best postings at the conference from the Environmental Management Award in November in Germany, in Berlin. But as I said, it's only for the German-speaking community.
Okay. In the case of Catalonia, we're having the IMAS Awards in November. And if there's any of you participating to the IMAS campaign, maybe this is something you can also add to your candidate when you candidate to the IMAS Awards. Okay. Did you see any other question? I think Josep Maria Macias. Do you have any question?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we hear you.
Okay. My question is to participate to this campaign. The start of campaign is the 30th, the 30th of May, and the finish date is the 9th of June. So everything that we have to do is to post things in this period.
Exactly, that's the idea.
Okay.
Yeah, because the idea is that if we all join this campaign, then we will have more impact together. Of course, you can post things about IMAS the whole year, but if we all, I mean, the whole IMAS community concentrates an effort to communicate that week, then we will interact better on the networks and have a greater impact.
Okay, thank you, Maria.
You're welcome.
One addition, but the task is not only to post something, but also maybe to screen what others are posting and also to react on their postings.
Yeah, as Frank has mentioned in his presentation, communication is a two-sided interaction. So the idea is also to be able to interact with other IMAS registered organizations. This is also an opportunity to learn from other organizations. So, and maybe, I don't know, this is the way we create a community, an IMAS community, actually. Yeah. Any other question? Okay. It seems that this is it for today. Thank you, and I hope to see you in the next webinar that will be in the second part of the year. We will inform you in advance. Goodbye and have a very nice day.